Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 2 of Money Talks. Today, we'll be talking about saving money. Now, before we start doing that, Gaurav and I would personally like to say keep safe. We know Corona is picking up in the country and it's better for us to be safe. So, please keep safe. Uh, Today, we'll talk about saving money for a very important reason. So, we all used to watch KBC while growing up. It has been one of the shows that's seen across the family, across the nation. One of the interesting winner and unfortunate story that came out of that show was of Sushil Kumar, a very young, bright man from Bihar, wins a huge amount of 5 CR. But a few years down the line, uh, the guy unfortunately goes bankrupt. He lost all of his money. Suddenly it's very difficult to see for us. 5 crore is a huge amount. What it tells us is dealing with money reasonably, sensibly is extremely important. And saving is the first step of dealing with money. Therefore, we have decided that today we'll talk about various aspects of saving. Probably starting off from what exactly is saving. Why should you, I, or anybody else for that matter do saving? Important also is that how do we do saving? So some of us would want to know a few things that we do. That is what probably we'll try and share. And so this is the broad agenda for our session today. What do you feel, Gaurav?
Great. Hi, Sanyam. Hi, viewers. Welcome again to our talk show. Our agenda is amazing. The first step towards anything of being, successful is to start from the small baby steps. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it and elaborate each step one by one. Let's not, break the story immediately.
Yeah.
So quickly starting, Sanyam. So what do you think? Okay. Firstly, why do you why do you started to even save? You started your job. Everyone wants to spend. I wanted to spend, and someone
Yeah.
who started job wants to spend. But why did not do that? And why did you save actually?
Okay,
What?
so I did
Yeah.
spend. I'll not
Okay.
be a dishonest person say I did not spend, but I think uh, the importance of saving came into my life much before I started earning. Actually,
Okay.
uh, I'd like to take you back to a very personal story, something that I have seen while growing up. Much of that is what I have heard, but I probably know it to be very true. So it's about my maternal grandparents.
Okay.
Uh, they they both retired as government employees, but the way they entered into the job was not through some competitive exam and stuff, which eventually meant that they were not those grade A officers and stuff like that. Uh, the the interesting thing that happened is today their pension is way more than what they used to earn as their salary when they were working actively,
That's nice.
and that pension is still not as big as a fresher IT employee in those 3.5 lakh ranges that somehow the IT companies have not started to increase for a long period of time now. So that fresher would still make more money than their current pension, which eventually means that their salary was too low to do anything, let alone save. But what they have managed to achieve even after that is humongous. They have managed to build a house for themselves, and they probably in their uh, old age is not dependent on anybody for money now. And it's
That's
it's
nice.
just crazy to see that with that low small amounts, they didn't know about share market, crypto. Even we don't know probably about. So they did not really have those big money, rich, quick schemes. The only thing that they have impressed upon me through their experiences, they continue to save and save and save and save. And that brought home a point that saving is absolutely important. It is
That's
just
true.
so
That's true.
critical that even if you have a smaller salary, you might be able to do things for yourself that you might not even imagine just because you had a discipline of that. So that is how I got my saving lesson. But what was the story for you, Gaurav? How did you learn about saving?
For me, saving. came a little later. I won't say immediately when I started my job. My initial thought was spending. I was happy about it and I was spending a lot. However, I think, in last couple of years, this trend has been going on YouTube's on every social media, how to get financially free. To be honest, when I started my job, I never really cared about financial freedom. I never thought that there could be a freedom, I mean, from your finances. I never thought of this as a concept as well. However, in last couple of years, I've read few books on it. Like there was this Think and Grow Rich. I read the entire book. I enjoyed that. That was one part. Gradually, I realized ultimately, if I want to have a big corpus, that kind of a money which makes me financially free, it's going to happen with a very small baby step, and that is saving. So that was my psychology for starting saving. I don't really have, that kind of a story where I did or learned from someone else. I learned it from my own experience, and that's what I keep a track of it today as well. So, Sanyam, I
Lovely.
think for you, you had a different psychology when you started your job. So you had a mindset you wanted to save. How did it make a difference for you today? I mean, if you look at your corpus or look at your way you spend money or save money, how does that create a difference today in your life?
So, meaningful difference. One of the things is I don't really have a corpus. I have a negative net worth as of today.
Okay.
But the thing is, I knew I would have a negative net worth. The only thing I see is till when would I have had a negative net worth if I were not to be saving? So my loan is supposed to be ending in 2027 if I were not to do saving and put extra efforts in reducing it or put money in the market and stuff like that. Now, currently, it has already come down to 2024. So if
Nice.
I want to see, I have already saved 3 years for myself in three
Yep.
years.
So basically,
So
it is not just 3 years of money you have saved, it is also 3 years of time you have saved. That time you can
yeah,
utilize for your further goals in life.
right.
That's
So
nice.
that is one. That is one critical thing that I have already seen. So yeah, today there is a huge possibility that I can still go bankrupt if I don't have an income source.
Yeah,
But that possibility should end by 2024 because I might not have obligations or I wouldn't be owing. But then the same risk would have happened with me up until 2027.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a
So
good
that
point.
that has been a critical thing. I think what we should do now, Gaurav, is why should anybody do saving? Like, okay, you learned a lesson for yourself. You wanted to be financially free. Cool. But why should anybody do like
Why saving is important? Because fortunately or unfortunately, this world works on money. So money is like a fuel in the car. You don't run your car for the fuel, but your car doesn't run without the fuel as well. So I believe in every part of life, they nothing can be predicted. I mean, no one expected COVID would happen. So many people would lose their jobs. People would run out of businesses. At these tough times, actually, money gives you that kind of an security. I even call it as money in your savings as your insurance for the bad times. It could be a medical emergency, it could be a non-medical emergency like your education emergency. And you don't
yeah,
have to, run after banks, institutes to give you or lend you money. So you always have that advantage or that insurance in your lying down in your banks that if something comes up, maybe an unexpected emergency, or maybe let's say you wanna even go for I mean an expense. For an example, I wanna go for a holiday. For an example, I would say, let me save something and go. But 5 months down the line, let's say for some reason I cannot go for some family obligations. I lost that time when I could have gone. Had I had money at that time, I would have utilized that opportunity to get that experience at the right time. So such expenses you can always manage with those savings as well. That is, I think, the reason why most people should have some, money saved in their bank accounts.
Lovely. I think money as an insurance is a very good idea. This is something I'm hearing for the first time. Money to buy an insurance is different. Money
Yep.
itself is an insurance. It's a
Right.
lovely idea. And I think, yeah, the other thing that if you want to experience or get something and you don't have money in your pocket, you feel hurt. So if you have saved it already,
Yep.
there's a high chance that you can get it. I think I remember one of my friend telling me this. He bought a Royal Enfield from his friend
Okay.
who went off to the estates, and he got it at a very cheaper price if he were to buy it from somebody else, even if in the second hand market. And the only reason he could buy it was because he had money in his savings account.
True.
He
True.
anyways wanted to buy a bike. He just got lucky that he had money and the person offered it to him. So yeah, that opportunity that you talked about, that's lovely. One of the things I find increasingly important is what you save today could be humongously bigger than what you would imagine tomorrow for tomorrow.
Yep.
So what what I would like to present probably as an exhibit or as an example by running some numbers would be, say you only save rupees 5 a day. How do
Okay.
you save 5 rupees a day? Probably you smoke 10 cigarettes a day, smoke only 9. Not only it saves 5 rupees, but
Health
smoking
as
too
well.
much can be harmful.
Yep.
So say you only say you are only able to save 5 rupees a day. Now what happens in that situation is people say, hey, 5 rupees a day, what will happen? It's all useless. 5 rupees mein to nothing happens and stuff like that. Now if you continue to save that 5 rupees a day for 40 years and just just able to get a return of only 10%, that amount after 60 years, sorry, 60 years, that's it, that would make more sense. So say you are not a very expensive person, but you want to save for your kids retirement and stuff like that, you would still be able to give your kid about 70 lakh rupees. Now I
Wow.
agree, there will be inflation, there will
But
be other
still,
costs and stuff like that,
70
but
lakhs is a great amount.
giving
Just
0 rupees
5
and giving,
rupees.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
just saving 5 rupees. And if you were not to do that, you'll not be even giving 70 lakh rupees. So if
True.
you're saying, Array, inflation will eat that 70 lakh rupees, you'll not have anything that inflation will eat.
Yep, and
So that's
exactly,
humongous.
Sanyam, just to our viewers. So when Sanyam first told me about this idea that 5 rupees can be converted to 70 lakhs, it was like even crazy for me. I didn't imagine or didn't see it that way. And of course, we'll share the, this particular data with your information with you on our video. And this is such an amazing thing if you just look at it, how money can grow exponentially with the minimum possible saving.
Yeah, I think the important point to take away from here is save, dude. Save.
Yep, absolutely,
That's only
absolutely.
150 rupees a month.
Not a big deal.
For most of the people, if you are in India and if you are able to listen to us and comprehend us in English, you will be easily able to do that.
True, true, true,
I
completely.
understand it will be even 150 would be very difficult for a lot of people, but for most, it's not.
It's not, it's not.
So that's one. The other point about saving is sometimes, okay, so this is saving for a very long period of time. You have to be disciplined and stuff like that. There's some expenses you just make because you are impulsive
Yep.
or you wanted to get back at somebody. Yo, one of my friend has brought this phone and suddenly he or she has taken all the charm away. Let me bring a much more expensive phone. So there are mobile phones ranging in 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 10,000, 20,000. I don't have to name the names. Almost everybody knows. My only contention is if you if you have a lot of money, go ahead and do that. Why not? But if you really don't have a lot of money, just for a moment think about the opportunity cost. So say you were thinking of buying a 1 lakh rupees mobile phone, but somehow you thought ki, probably not this time. Anyways, I'll replace a phone in every 2 or 3 years. I'll probably buy it in the next round. Let me just save money this time. I'll buy a 15-20,000 phone and I'll save the 80,000 rupees. Right? So if you save that 80,000 rupees for a period of 40 years, if you're somehow able to grow it at let's say 12, 13% for example, your money would have grown to 1.07 crores.
Wow. That's a big, big number. I mean, that's like a mobile phone costing me a 1 CR.
Yeah, exactly. And you just had to save it once.
Yep. And
Probably
that's
when
very
you are,
interesting, Sanyam, because I mean, at least I never thought of money this way. That if I were to buy a car of, let's say, 10 lakh rupees, I take a loan from HDFC Bank and they give me a loan of, let's say, 8 lakh rupees. I'm getting a car for 10 lakh rupees. Had I just put in those 2 lakhs, which I just put in as a down payment, even in HDFC Bank, for an example, that would actually grow in a much better way. I can actually buy 10 cars after 10, 20 years of time.
yeah, right, right. So yeah, your money can work for you magically. And these
Absolutely.
numbers may sound magical, but these are pure maths. Maths is not magical.
It's all
Maths does not
logical.
work on our feelings. It's very logical.
Yep.
So I think saving is extremely important because it can turn into something that may appear absolutely magical over a long period of time. So I think that's one reason. The last reason I'd probably like to share why you should save is, once you save, you actually do not use that money to make expenses,
Hmm.
which eventually means that forever you have reduced that expense from your account.
Kind of, yeah. True.
So, say you were going out to eat every second day, and suddenly you realize, oh, I'm going out 15 days a month. I'll only go out 10 days a month. You have suddenly saved that 5 days, and because you have changed your habit, the expense have gone forever. So, it's a huge behavioral builder, is what I feel. What do you think?
That is true. I think it's more like when I get my salary, I pay myself and then I let my expenses go. I mean, grow basically. So I just give my expenses very lesser opportunity to actually grow. If I'm earning, let's say, 10,000 a month, for an example, and I know I'm going to put out 2,000 away every month, I know I have to manage stuff within 8,000. But if I give myself the opportunity to spend 10, I might even spend 10. That's, I think, very valid point, and that's not the way generally most of us see money as. We see as your salary minus your expenses equal to saving. Just tell you salary minus your savings is equal to expenses. It's a very nice way of saying it. I mean, to be very, very honest. So, Sandim, I mean, did you read any kind of books or anything like that to come up with some these kind of psychological points or these viewpoints?
Yeah, so actually a lot of books. So it would be unfair for me to name one or two, because a lot of, and I think this happens with continuous affirmation. So it will not happen just by listening once and your mind gets made up. It never happens like that. I think it's a continuous process. Uh, so I think before I tell name of one of the book, even if it's unfair, that's fine. I'll I'll start off with how you can save money, and probably with an example I'd like to share that with you.
Yes.
So imagine, Gaurav, yourself, imagine in a compound of your society, right? You see one of Mr. Sharma or Mr. Gupta or whatever has come out through his parking lot in a swanky new SUV. Let's say,
Okay.
it's about 25 lakhs showroom price and stuff like that, and you are mesmerized by it. You did not think that that guy has that amount of money and stuff like that. So when you see that car with your neighbor, what are your first thoughts?
I mean, the first thought, I mean, very naturally would come, what would it take for me to buy the same car? Or if not same, at least a similar one. That is the first thing.
Mhm.
Second, I mean, to be honest, I won't even think for next 1 or 2 days, even for the expenses it would actually bring in for me. I just would just want to have that car because
Yeah,
I love that car and I want to have that. That is going to be my first thought process.
right, right. So which eventually means that suddenly you are inspired for an expense that you did not really think for yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely true. I never thought of buying an SUV. Suddenly, I want to buy an SUV,
Yeah, because that's a very human response. Okay,
right?
another question. What do you think of your neighbor now? Do you think he's rich? Do you think he's poor? What do you make out of his financial condition after this?
I mean, on the look of it, he would look pretty financially stable because if he can afford a 25 lakh of car, he has to be financially stable. Otherwise, he would not have been able to afford it. At that point, he would look pretty good to me, I think.
Right. So the one thing that you can definitely conclude, you might not be able to conclude that he's financially stable or not, but the one thing that you can definitely conclude is the person now has 25 lakh rupees less.
Oh, that is a totally a different way of looking at it. So you're saying out of his net worth, he spent 25 lakhs on something which he could have avoided, or maybe if not avoided, but at least 20 lakhs poorer than yesterday now.
Absolutely. And this is one of the points that I read in the book, The Psychology of Money by
Oh,
Morgan Housel.
nice, nice. That's a nice
So
psychology
that
to
is
have
one way
actually.
of, yeah. So this is probably the first way of spending or saving money is by knowing that if you want to make an expense, you make it without anybody making it or not.
That
And
is
you
true.
do not get influenced by influencers. Because so far as I understand, most of these influencers are under debt. The only thing that they are influencing is their credit history for the worse and their parents' money for the worse. So I think it's the other thing is you shouldn't be inspired by influencers because they live a different life, we live a different life. They
Yep.
have to look good all the time in the media and stuff like that. But
And
I see,
Sanyam, just sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, adding a point in between because now we're talking about something where we're getting influenced. Sometimes it is not just influencers are not like the people coming on TV or coming on YouTube all the time. They could be in our offices, they could be our friends, they could be our family. They could easily be influenced or self manipulated, I would say, by ourselves, by their influence.
absolutely, absolutely. That, oh, you should anyways get a car. No, now you're working in this company. Why aren't you getting a car?
Absolutely,
That's
it does happen. It
so,
does
yeah.
happen a lot.
So I think the learning I had from this parameter was one: don't judge a person just by looking at them. They might or might not have that amount of money. That's one. And even if they have, good for them.
Yep.
But for you, it's absolutely important that you spend on what you want to spend rather than what you are encouraged to spend. So
Also,
yeah, I think
Sanyam, actually, when you say when you want to spend, so I have read a very interesting thing on it. I mean, going by the same example, let's
mhm.
say I want to have a car. I want to buy it today, or let's say tomorrow for that matter. I mean, I want to buy it immediately. I should wait for at least a week or two. If I still want to buy it, then that is my requirement, most probably. If I don't want to buy the same thing after 2 weeks, it might just be my what do you call? Either I'm influenced by something or either I want to buy it, but I do not need to buy it.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. I think that's a very lovely point. I think that would keep a tap on our impulsiveness
Absolutely,
when it comes
absolutely.
to spending. Oh,
I want to buy
lovely.
a
Yeah.
phone, just wait for a week. I mean, do I still want to buy a phone? Maybe then I need it. Go and buy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's the difference between infatuation and love. But yeah, probably not the correct platform to talk about that. Well, yeah. So I think two very important things already on how to save. One is if you are trying to spend, probably sit on it for a week. And second, see if you want to spend it or because you're getting influenced by somebody else who has got it already and you
Absolutely.
just are trying to compete. Because if you are doing that, you might not be making the best financial decision for yourself, is all
True,
what we are
true,
saying.
true, true.
Not
Because
saying you should not get a car. Get a car. If you have 100 crores in
absolutely
net worth, get a car of 20 lakhs and it doesn't hurt you anyways. But if you have a
true.
net worth of 2 lakhs, you buy a car of 25 lakhs, that's a very horrible decision to make.
Absolutely. I mean, if I have to put a number for Mukesh Ambani's wealth, I might not be able to. I just read it. He bought a car of 13 CR today in the news somewhere. So
Mhm.
13 CR for his net worth would not even be 1%, but for some, it might be their lifetime earnings or savings. So personal finance is different for
Yeah.
different people.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you buy something, you decide how much it is going to impact on your portfolio or your personal finance for that matter.
Right. Okay, so another way of saving money, Gaurav, I personally use it is I call it a lease versus buy principle.
Okay.
What I mean by that, I say there is a big ticket item. say a mobile phone of 1 lakh rupees. Now I have saved my money. I have 1 lakh rupees. I saved it for this particular reason. But what happens at times is you buy the thing, but you do not really feel inspired to use it after 1 or 2 months. And then you
Hmm.
feel, oh, I just made this expense, but chalo, now that I have brought it to my house, I'll use it. So that's a compulsion you're doing. What I would say is buy an expensive phone. What do I mean by that? I'm saying buy the exact phone of 1 lakh rupees, but buy for 1 lakh and 5,000 rupees.
Okay.
The 5,000 rupees that is extra should be the lease of your phone. So take your phone on lease for 1 or 2 months before buying it. It might happen that you love the phone. You absolutely enjoyed the phone for 1 or 2 months. Go ahead and buy it. In that case, you had bought a phone at a higher price. But in 2 months, if you get bored by that phone, you have saved yourself 1 lakh rupees, at least
Right.
95,000 rupees,
That's
because
a
you have
lovely
not
thing.
bought something that is not, making you happy. So that is a principle that I try and think, and I think probably I'll be using it whenever I go in that expense mode.
I think that's a very valid point, Sanyam. Nowadays, we've got so much of options that even if you want to buy stuff for a home, let's say you want to buy a good sofa set, for an example, why don't you rent it? If you like it, then buy it. If you don't, have something
Yeah,
else. At least the
right.
risk goes away of spending your money to something which you might not like after 6 or 8 months.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was one. What do you think? What do you think about this EMI trap, so to speak? And when I say trap, I'm not saying the companies are trying to trap you. It is your personal sense. So, zero cost loans and stuff like that. That has made your buying power just
A
phenomenal. That's
lot, a
lovely.
lot.
Also, it's lovely from a financial perspective. You can do that.
I
What do
mean,
you think about that?
if I
How
talk
do you
about
save
it,
money in that environment?
Sandim, so basically when we started, we said if I have some money at this time, I can go on a holiday and I can enjoy my time with that money. But with this no cost EMI, I can still on the same time go to a holiday without having that money with me. It kind of feels good at that time. However, suddenly next month I would still feel to buy something else. And I would still try to utilize that power of having that no cost EMI to buy that thing. So that gives me a power to do something immediately, which I could have delayed maybe by a week or two, or maybe I might not even need that thing. So I think it puts you in a very difficult financial trap where you end up buying stuff without paying any interest, but you end up buying stuff which you might not even need.
Yep. And I think one of the things that I had read, and it was harrowing at first when I read about that, was it was in context of governments, running high deficits.
Oh,
And one of the commentators, just blasted the government, saying that you are eating the food of my childrens because they will have to pay for what you are doing. Now, this is just too big for us because we are not doing that. But what we are essentially doing is, if you end up in a trap of EMIs, you might not be able to give the life for yourself or for your loved ones close around you because you have made some decisions in the past. And whether or not you like history, it will continue to exist and impact your life.
that is true. That is true. And most
Yeah.
of these EMIs come with the fact that you have an offer today for no cost EMI and that lasts till next 2 days. You don't even have that time to actually make a decision whether you want or do you need.
Yeah. So yeah, that's always there. That they're trying to shorten the deadline, so to speak. But yeah, lovely. Another thing that I want to mention here is, let's say if you are still interested in buying the thing, even before that, think about it. Say you are buying a product which will have an EMI of 5,000 rupees. Ask yourself this first. Am I even investing at least 5,000 rupees?
That is true. That is true.
You're not investing any money, and suddenly you take another loan of 5,000 6,000 rupees that you probably could have avoided. That's a bad financial decision. That is not smart. So
So
your EMI
basically,
should come after your investment, is what I would say.
so Sannim, you're saying is that if I have an EMI, let's say of 15,000 a month, I should be at least investing 15,000 a month somewhere or saving at least this much amount of money with so that at least I have something added to my portfolio somewhere. It is not just my wealth being drained out.
Right. So think of it this way: EMIs is actually your money taken from your future.
Hmm,
But what are you doing to build that future that you'll have money in your future, except for your income, for of course,
that is
right?
true.
So investment should be your priority over EMIs, except for a few EMIs. Let's say you are buying a house, it's understandable. You're going for an education early in your career, that's understandable. You have some medical bills, that's understandable. But buying a car or that swanky mobile phone, or just doing things that you just did not want to do, but because you are getting that EMI, you did it. I think that would hurt. That would hurt.
Yep. So
Any other ways?
basically, this is a very interesting thing actually. So when post this COVID time, most of these banks actually what they did, their interest rates actually went down,
Yeah,
especially for the home loans. It was a very good point made by someone on a talk show that do not buy a home just because the interest rates are down right now. If you need, do it. If you do not park your money in somewhere where you're just doing something for sake of doing it.
yeah, yeah. You spend so an interesting text thing that I just remembered is, I just discussing it with somebody, and he said ki get home loan. I said why? He
It
said,
saves your tax.
the principal you will pay will be tax deductible. I said, okay, but my ATC can anyways be filled. That's not an issue. Yeah, but you get an extra section where the interest on the home loan will be tax deductible. So I asked him, first I thought that, oh, lovely, I can save my taxes. And then I realized, okay, I don't really need a house right now. So why do I get into a home loan and get myself covered? Second thing is, if let's say I'm able to pay 2 lakh rupees of interest, I'll save 60,000 in taxes. What about the rest 1 lakh 40,000 rupees? That I'm still paying to somebody even when I don't need it. So saving 60,000 rupees by spending 1 lakh 40,000 rupees, I don't think it's a very sensible decision. So I think, yeah, that's true that you don't make money. Sometimes you don't even invest just because it's a tax saving product or stuff
True,
like
true.
that.
That is true. That is true.
Uh, any other points you have about how to save money and stuff?
I think I don't think I can think of any. Do you think of any points that why we to save
Okay, so
money?
one of the interesting things is,
Okay.
see, we live in app economy, as we say.
Ha, yeah.
Almost everything is on app. Your food is
Right.
on app, your shopping is on app, your medical consultation is on app, your
True,
education
true,
is on
true.
app. Now, most of these apps are built by people who understands the world of not only technology but also psychology, and they are good at it. They are absolutely good at it. So what they will probably do is they'll have the data, they'll crunch it, and they'll realize that, oh, what if I offer a person 20% discount and the person is prone to spending even when he was not checking the app. So they'll send you these notifications, email reminders, and stuff like that. The one thing that I have done is, one, I've cancelled any subscription that I don't need,
Okay.
of applications that I barely use, or I don't use it in my city, but I use it in other cities. So I just completely delete them off. The second thing I have done is I have put all of these applications, and I've put all of their notifications off. If I
Hmm.
want to buy food, I'll feel hungry and I'll go on the app. It's not that I'll suddenly become all dumb and not realize that I have an app on my phone.
Yep.
But if I have a app that is constantly bringing on notification reminders, I might again get influenced to buy something that I was not probably planning. So that is one thing that I have done.
There is a good thing actually. So basically, you're saying if I have this a very nice food app on my phone, every time it gives me some notification, and even if I don't want to have a pizza, I'll have a pizza or a burger because that just reminds my brain. Yesterday I had a Domino's pizza. It was really nice. Let's have that today as well.
As well.
That's true. And also, Sandeep, just adding to it, we talked
Yeah.
about these subscriptions. I think it's a good idea that you create some kind of an Excel or a Google sheet, or write down somewhere that these are your regular subscriptions, and on these dates they get renewed, so that if you do not require them in the future, at least you know when to actually cancel them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think taking care of your auto renewals is extremely important.
True, true, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
oh yeah, I think I also need to do that. I have a couple now that I
And
need.
adding to it further, so uh, at times it happens, someone start, I mean, for someone like me, or
Hmm.
let's say most of us, we start having so many bank accounts, which is fine, not bad to have so many bank accounts. But with each bank account, we'll have a debit card, we'll have a credit card, we might even have a demat account as well for each of the banks, and without non-banking demat accounts as well. We might not realize, but we might be spending a certain amount just for the sake of having those accounts or those cards, but we might not be using them. So never a
Yeah.
bad idea to actually keep a check of them, and just maybe, I mean, just close your subscriptions to those cards or those accounts where you're just putting your money is just being drained out.
Or else, as I say, go to a pub and party. No, why are you
Yeah.
giving it to somebody else?
Yep.
Be reckless with that 5,000 rupees, but don't give it to somebody just for free.
Absolutely, that's true, that's true.
Well, I think this was fun. This was fun to do today. I think a lot of our experiences did come out and a lot
Right.
of ideas. Probably I'll have to go back to my apps and see if there are certain subscriptions that are just one and I don't really realize because they are on auto pay and stuff like
So
that.
do I never thought of that, these apps this way actually.
Yeah. So lovely. I think audience, you would have loved it. What was your best saving tip or story that you liked from the video? Mention it in the comment. If there
Absolutely.
is anything else you want to mention, a idea that you used to save money or why you save money, or if you did not, will you be saving money from here on? Let us know in the comment box. For the next episode, we'll be talking about protecting the money that you have saved. So Warren Buffett has this lovely quote. I think it's attributed to him. I've not heard him say, but I would like to say that he would have said it. He says that there are only two rules of making money. One is don't lose money. Second is don't forget rule number one.
Yeah, that is the
So
best rule actually he has told the
uh,
world. Never
yeah,
lose money and
so
never
to
forget the
not
rule one.
lose that money. Yeah, so to not lose that money, in the next episode, we'll be talking about how you can protect your money. With this, we close the session. See in the description the link to Gaurav's channel,
Yep,
and we'll see you again. Bye bye.
absolutely. Thank you, Sanyam. Thank you, viewers. Bye bye.